is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, here we go. No glasses and everything, so we have plenty of time to prep them. So you can take those glasses off. How you feeling? You had a good weekend, a good dry weekend?
Well, you know what? I went up to Tampa to see my beloved Rangers, and for 59 minutes and 13 seconds, it was a hell of a show. But
a hell of a comeback. Holy crap.
Yeah. But
wow.
Always fun to catch some playoff hockey. There's nothing quite like it. It was a fun crowd. It was about 25% Rangers fans up in Tampa. So it was a good little weekend getaway while still monitoring all the NBA happenings, including Utah, everything else. And then today at 1 o'clock, Pat Riley will address the media. So you'll have fodder for the entire week, Big O.
Yes. Looking forward to that. By the way, before we get into all the basketball stuff, how impressive is it what Tampa has created around the arena and the vibe with the bars and everything?
Oh, I was telling my wife that, and that's one thing you never get in a suburban arena. And all the NBA arenas have moved in town also. And what the Panthers have out there, at FLA Live Arena is a nice place, but you can't replicate being in downtown. You can't replicate walking to the arena like we did. You can't replicate going to a bar before or after, and you're right there.
Literally across from the arena. I mean, that's just, there's a lot of cool bars.
Every sports arena we've built, think about it. You have the Panthers out in the middle of nowhere, beautiful Everglades. You have the Marlins, God bless them, but I mean, the closest thing to the Marlins Park is a Walgreens. So let's after party at the Walgreens. And
but you know what? At least, but wait a minute. With the Marlins, there's potential. The problem is the team has not created the buzz.
No, they haven't filled any of the bays of the little storefronts in the garage.
So why would you be a sports bar and say, no, I'm going to build something next to Marlins Park? Yes. Well, why would I? You know what I mean? It's just.
And my other point is, and what Inter Miami's doing out there, with the park by the airport off the interchange, it's just not the same. I remember having Mayor Suarez on way back when I was doing some radio, and him talking about you need to be downtown. There has to be the march to the stadium. There has to be tailgating. The Heat are in the right place. There is a buzz before Heat games. There is a buzz after Heat games. There are things to do. Biscayne has never been more alive. You can see what a downtown arena does for a team and does for a city as well. And what they have built around Amalie Arena, even the apartments in the city living and all of that. I remember going to the Rangers Lightning about 5 years ago. They were in the conference finals. It was all parking lots and dead there. And they said, we've got something special. And of course, Big O, since then, the Lightning have won 2 Stanley Cups. It's must see.
They do their part.
And when we were on the Riverwalk all weekend, we were walking and riding, and you see all these go Bolts, go Lightning things. It's a real civic kind of thing. And I was telling my wife, except for Dolphins car flags, another stadium in a parking lot, you just don't have that here. You don't. Yes, there's tailgating in a football stadium. We don't have our on-campus football stadium for the Canes. You miss so much. Sports are more about this than about the score. And when you can go to a full game, like Big O, you've been to soccer games in Portland or other places downtown, it's everything. Even if your team loses, you go, wow, that was a hell of a day. We had a hell of a pre-party, a hell of an after-party, and that's what you'd like to see teams get to. You can't where the Panthers are. You won't, no matter what Inter Miami says. That complex and their shops is years in the making, and that's really a shame about all of it. I agree.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm impressed, and I got to give Tampa a lot of love for the vibe that they've been able to create there. The team has done their part, and then the city has done their part, and the business owners obviously are smart to capitalize on it. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So it's really, really, really cool. And let me tell you something: if you want to experience hockey at its best, go to Tampa, because that's kind of exactly what Ira talked about. It's not just a product on the ice. It's the entire experience that you're going to say, damn, dude, this is what really gets you hooked, with it all. And a nice vibe. Everybody's together. It's just a great atmosphere. All right. Season-ending stuff. First of all, any Lowry weight issues come up here? In shape stuff? What's
what? Here? Eric Spoelstra told us Kyle Lowry will come back in the best condition of his life. That's what you say. And that's very much a signal, and that's what you want. And that's what Pat Riley will say today. And again, you'll have Anthony Chang on tomorrow. I'll be on with Clay Ferraro on a Slomin's Home Security Inside the Paint Show for an hour to break it all down, 9 o'clock on Wednesday. and of course our Acura Pembroke Pines report on Friday. But you know they're going to say that. But I'm wondering if Kyle Lowry has the buy-in. And I've got to say this. From the get-go, Kyle Lowry was never an all-heat culture guy. He was I know what to do, I know how to do it, and I'm going to do it my way. So it's going to be very interesting because Pat Riley's not going to have one of the Ferrans chasing him around with calipers, trying to measure Kyle Lowry's body fat. Kyle Lowry's not into that. Kyle Lowry's going to be Kyle Lowry. So I don't care if he matches up with the culture. I don't, Big O. I care if they win and he stays healthy, he plays all the games, and he's up to speed. I don't care what he looks like in person if what he looks like makes a difference in the winning column.
But it limits him. It's as good as he is. If he had 30 less pounds on his body this year, he might have been an even better player in the postseason for the Miami Heat. Maybe he doesn't even get injured. But Ira, there is no way that anybody in that organization feels like, no, it's all right if Kyle Lowry comes back overweight again. As you get older, you cannot keep carrying that weight as an athlete. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree. The better shape you are, the better chances you have. But Kyle's never been that. So what you're asking really, Big O, is this. At 37, can you get in the best shape of your life? Which is kind of hard for all of us as we get older. But I agree also, we gave you the faith of a 3-year, $85 million contract. We literally put our money where our mouth is and where your mouth is, so maybe that makes a difference. Also, Pat Riley will try to massage it. This is not the my way or highway Heat management anymore. It's not. The players have changed. The leagues have changed. Big O, times have changed. You can't force the players. We see it in football and baseball. The players control the currency. You can try to move him in that direction. I think that's what Eric Spoelstra did. I think that's what right now they will try with the Miami Heat as well, to sort of massage him in that direction that, hey, you were good. You got us to the #1 record. You helped get us to the Eastern Conference Finals. But, hey, with a little more, you can get the ring that you got in Toronto. So I think it's going to be a little bit more subtle, convincing than, let's say, body shaming.
Well, no, and in the end, they need a better Kyle Lowry. And in order for you to be better, you've got to be in better shape so you can give more. I mean, look, professionalism has to take over here for Kyle Lowry. If he has any friendship with Jimmy Butler for real, and he cares for Jimmy Butler, then he also should be doing it for Jimmy too, because if he's watching Jimmy absolutely kill himself, and you obviously, look, here's what I could say about Kyle Lowry this year. He did not give 100% to the Miami Heat because he was not committed 100%, because his body was not committed. And because his body was not committed, it broke down and it hurt this team this year. So that you have to look in the mirror and say, I cannot let these guys down. And by the way, if you're not going to acquire another Batman or a Robin, well, then Kyle Lowry has to find a way to become more of a Robin on some nights. And how do you do that? Bro, get in shape, man. Get in shape.
It'll be, and again, we'll talk more on Wednesday about this on Friday, but I think Pat Riley, it'll be interesting to see. Look, we've also seen Pat and these season enders go in attack mode, whether it's LeBron James when he was going to resign, you stay here, you fight the fight, you don't run. So maybe there will be a little subtle something there. Remember, Pat Riley, when Dwayne was older, also went in that direction with Dwayne Wade. You've got to come
with
back
everybody
better.
Pretty much. Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, so I'm just curious. But again, it's the times. The times have changed. So I'll be curious to see how Pat Riley in this carnation handles it. It'll be very interesting starting at 1 o'clock today.
Hell, we signed Thunder Dan, and we're all expecting to see Thunder Dan. And typical Pat Riley in his tenure here, as much success as he's had, the man has had as much heartbreak too. Thunder Dan suffers a damn back injury. All of a sudden now, Riles tells him, hey, man, you got to change your game now, and you got to lose weight and become more of a perimeter player. And sure enough, to Dan's credit, he couldn't be Thunder Dan, so he had to trim down so he can work the perimeter more and become more of a three-point shooter. You know what I mean? Whether it's making Udonis Haslem or Isaac Austin lose an entire human being, or Dan Marley adjust, or another player like Kyle Lowry adjust to old age, he's done it with all kinds of players in talking to them and reaching them and saying, This is what you got to do in order to
But
last. And by the
most
way,
of them at a
his track
younger
record is
age,
exceptional. His
right,
track
most
record is
of-
exceptional.
but most of them Big O at a younger age. And that's the thing is we do
That's true.
tend as we get older to get set in our ways. So can he influence a 36, 37-year-old Kyle Lowry, even the
Good
way
point.
he influenced a 32-year-old Tim Hardaway? People do get set in their ways. And again, we've heard nothing from Kyle on this. Maybe we catch Kyle in the offseason and sort of get his thoughts on that also.
All right. What Donovan Mitchell now?
Good.
Apparently with Quinn Snyder getting stepping down. Donovan Mitchell, according to Woj, surprised and disappointed is what the quote was for Donovan Mitchell. What does this mean?
This means that Donovan Mitchell wants more control of things in Utah, doesn't want to be shocked by coaches' resignations, and wants to be more part of the process. The old, I've earned that, I've become a franchise player. So I don't necessarily think it's Danny Ainge forced to trade. And how crazy is it, Big O, that Danny Ainge is in charge now in Utah, and you have the Riley-Ainge relationship? Can you imagine those two on a trade call trying to work something out? I mean, here is Pat Riley stole Ray Allen from Danny Ainge. I don't know how that would go. Maybe Dwayne Wade would work as an arbiter between the two of them. Look, Donovan
or
Mitchell,
a double agent for us.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe that's the whole, like you always talk about Kevin McHale with Kevin Garnett over there with Ainge in Minnesota, how that worked out. I still think if Utah redoes things, they redo things by moving on from Rudy Gobert and try to have more of a traditional approach. I think there are teams that definitely need that rim deterrence that might be willing to make a move there. But until everything is settled in Utah, it is not outrageous to say, hey, what about this package to Utah for Donovan Mitchell? Would it work with a Tyler Hero and a Duncan Robinson and one of the Heat's young prospects and a couple of first-round picks? Then Heat Nation also has to pull back a little and say to yourself, are you comfortable giving up all of your assets going forward? Let's say let's say you have to give them Tyler Hero, that'll be the linchpin, Duncan Robinson, the contract that matches, and then letting them pick one of your young players, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, or Omar Yurtseven, okay? Oh, I want you to synthesize all of this. This year's first-round pick and your 2027 first-round pick. First of all, are you good with all five elements that I just gave you?
I'm good with all of them except any of the young guys. I give them the two first-rounders, Duncan and Tyler, no problem. Give me the I think now when you start giving up also the young guys, it's a little. You're already giving them Tyler and Duncan and two first-rounders, according to you. That would be more than enough for Donovan.
I want to take people now in the big old Wayback Machine. So, like, I don't know, like they do in Wayne's World. No. Okay, we're back now. We're 2004. Ira Winderman's on with Big O. I think it was QAM. I'm not sure at the time.
Yeah, it was.
We were debating a Miami Heat trade for Shaquille O'Neal. We went through all the elements. Send him Brian Grant. Send him Lamar Odom. Send him a first-round pick. And then Big O and I, for maybe a month or so, went back and forth. Should you throw Caron Butler in? Big O at the time was, I don't throw Caron Butler in. He's a young guy.
And remember context. 400-pound, fat-ass, lazy Shaq with a toe issue at that moment. Oh, and by the way, let's bring the conversation full circle. He made fat ass lose weight at that age.
Okay, so that's our point. Then going back to the first segment here
for 1 year,
for Kyle Lowry. So my question is, you always say to yourself, how much is too much? But at a certain point, you realize you have to give too much to get an asset like that.
Right.
So again, if people are asking me, what do I think a Heat proposal would be to trump the Knicks with Quickly or their young players? I think it would be basically definitively Duncan, definitively Tyler, definitively 2 first-round picks, and then you're playing with the young guy. Whether it's they want Yurtseven because they're moving Gobert, whether they want
I'll give him Yurt, but that's about it.
Okay, maybe they want Gabe Vincent because they're losing a guard, and they want a guy who is very good in the playoffs.
I got a fat point guard. No, I'm not doing that.
So you have that. Maybe Max Strus to take him as an actual contributor on the front line since they lost Joe Ingles. So what I'm saying is you do have options there on what you can do. But when people go, what could the Heat offer? That's what they could offer. Now, is that good enough for Utah? Because where does that leave Utah except with a bunch of pieces? Remember, on the Shaq deal, Lamar Odom was a real linchpin of that deal and did help the Lakers down the road. They made some other moves off of the other players. I think that's what the Heat pitch would be. I think Utah's preference would be to move Rudy Gobert instead of moving Donovan Mitchell. And a lot of it's going to come down to the new coach. Is Donovan Mitchell signing off on the new coach? Is it a Terry Stotts? Is it someone he knows? Is it an Adrian Griffin, somebody has to learn who's just starting? That'll be interesting. The one thing I'll say is this. Quinn Snyder did them no favors. To quit so late in this coaching cycle and have all the coaches signing elsewhere and sort of be so late to the dance, I thought was very interesting. And you know what? That shows me a dysfunctional franchise. The new owner comes in, brings in Danny Ainge, brings in Dwayne Wade, wants to change things, and I think they grew a little bit dysfunctional. That's where I think Donovan Mitchell's frustration is.
I'm with you there. So, leading into our segment, I think the Heat sees what I see, and I think eventually it's going to happen. Question is, do you see what I see or what the Heat also, I think, sees? Miami has no choice. They must make a trade this offseason. The way this team is constructed, you have no shot at a title. You could talk about, oh, you were one shot away, if that, if whatever. You know, close counts in hand grenades and horseshoes. Bottom line is, you don't have a Batman or a Robin to Jimmy Butler. You need to find a Batman to him to make him a Robin, or you need to find a Robin to at least assist Batman in Jimmy Butler. There is no Batman or Robin on the Miami Heat right now.
Tyler Hero?
No, he's not.
Why?
He's not. He has not proven to be that guy yet.
Second leading scorer to Jimmy Butler by 0.7 of a point.
And
he almost wasn't a leading scorer.
And because they had no choice. They have nobody else. But when push came to shove, he wasn't available now. Okay? So that's the bottom line. And by the way, he wasn't playing that well, I think, right before he got injured, right? I don't think
but the hamstring strain was lingering before this injury. So it was something that was there before. Look, the one
by
thing
the way, injuries have been a part of Tyler Hero's short career so far also. So my point is, he hasn't proven to be durable, and he hasn't proven to be a Batman or a Robin. He's a six-man. I'm talking about a franchise player practically is what you need here. I think the Heat see that because that's why you got Shaq when you had Wade. That's why you went and got LeBron and Bosh when you had Wade. That's why you get Timmy when you've got Zoe. I think they know that. I think they have no choice. If they bring back this team, we'll be entertained. They'll win, but they will not win big. You need all the stars to align and every duck to get in the row. You got to find your guy, whether it's Damian Lillard, whether it's Beal, whether it's Mitchell or somebody else. You need to find that other star for Jimmy Butler. I think it's imperative. So I think a trade does happen this offseason one way or another because the window is only a year or two. So you've got to roll the dice. Will Tyler Hero become a Batman or a Robin in the next year or two? If you're not sure of that, you need to make a trade.
And what's interesting is, again, going back in some of her Acura Pembroke Pines reports, we were also talking earlier in the year, Big O, that you saw a Heat bridge to the future. I remember I had that conversation with you, and you said Tyler and Bam could be that next incarnation. So if you want to break that, if you want to break the bridge, because you're living in the moment, because Jimmy's 33, because Kyle is 36, because PJ Tucker is 37, I'm fine with that. I've always been a live in the moment guy.
Because the two guys that are coming up are not. Bam and Tyler have not proven to be franchise guys. So once Jimmy fades, it's not like Zoe is taking over.
Tyler's 22.
If Zoe was taking over, then I would be fine with it.
Tyler's
but
22.
Bam is not so.
But Tyler is 22. So I think to give up on him this early is what I'm saying, Big O. I understand. I'm with you on this. Matter of fact, I disagree with you when you talked about the bridge to the future, because this Heat team always lived in the moment. This Heat team, we'll worry about the future then. We'll bring in an older Goran Dragic. We'll give Phoenix 7 draft choices. However that turns out, we're going to be fine with that. So I don't disagree with that at all. I certainly would look at the Mitchell situation. Until Beal is actually locked in a uniform on day one for Washington, I think his name will be there out all summer. I think it's very hard to make it work with Damian Lillard, one, alongside Kyle Lowry, or two, not to trade Kyle Lowry to match that kind of money anyway. Hard to give up on a Jimmy Butler friend this soon when they did get to the conference finals. I think something a little more subtle like a Malcolm Brogdon. So let me ask you this, Big O. I'm going to put this back on the ball back in your court. If you can get a Malcolm Brogdon two-way player, very good defender, pretty good scorer, would you trade Tyler Hero for that?
Well, I mean, Lowry's gone. So, in a year or two. Yeah. Right. So yeah, but maybe even the third year, he's your backup almost. At this pace, at least. Wow, that's a great question.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is
I might make that move. I might make that move.
So would a tier 2 star be enough? Because you'd be a little bit back more to ensemble play. He wouldn't be the guy, but it'd be another guy at the end, not afraid to take a shot.
But he won't be a starter for another 2 years. I need him for next year. Jimmy. I need to take advantage of Jimmy. If Jimmy can give me one more of these years, like he did this year, again next year, eventually Father Time's going to catch up to this dude, bro. It's just going to happen. He has too many bumps and bruises.
I'm saying you could have a starting wing lineup of Jimmy Butler at the 3, Malcolm Brogdon at the 2, and Kyle Lowry at the 1 to give you a little bit more.
I don't know if that's enough. I like Brogdon for the future when Lowry is out of gas. But I still think you need something even better than that to put next to Butler to give him a chance to win a title next year. That's just me. There has to be somebody out there. And I agree with you. The Lillard one, it makes no sense. And by the way, I'm kind of losing out on any kind of luster for Bradley Beal because Washington is Loserville. Okay. They're not going anywhere. There's no pressure there. There's no expectations there.
I agree with that.
He's just a big fish in a small pond, and he keeps telling me he's happy there. And if you're happy being in Loserville with no expectations, then Bradley Beal may not be made for the Miami Heat.
And he's also not a defender.
This is a place of expectations and pressure where we're not happy with Bam taking the next step. We're asking what the hell is going on with Tyler and Duncan. They just gave you 90. And you shit the bed, dude. And Lowry, you're overweight. That's this place. So I don't know if Bradley Beal can hang here if he's happy in the Wizard or is that just what he's saying because he went for the money instead?
Sometimes players just go for the money.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's just, if he's happy in Washington counting his cash, then you know what? You know what, Bradley? Stay there, dude, because obviously you don't really want to win. See, at least I give Butler this. While we're thinking, oh, man, this guy's difficult to work with. Shit, he can't stay in Chicago. Shit, he can't stay in Minnesota. Damn it, they don't want him in Philadelphia. They'd rather give a lesser player the money, and then he comes here and he's happy. Well, at least he kept pushing out of places because he wasn't happy with them because the mother wanted to win. Well, I at least I give respect to that, where if you're just happy being in Loserville and not wanting out and not really wanting to win, then, dude, you're not the guy the Heat need. You're not.
It'll be an interesting offseason. Again, it's what level of player are you willing or want to trade Tyler for? How far are you willing to go to sacrifice some future to live in the moment?
Is there another player out there that you can think of outside of Brogdon that you've come up with, somebody better than that could be an alpha next to Butler that
Again,
could
there
be
are second-tier alphas. In other words, Cleveland at the trading deadline went for a Karis LeVert, a guy who could give you buckets, a guy who could give you 36 on a given night. There's a lot of guys out there stuck on lottery-level teams. Bradley Beal might not be long for Indiana, but that's another three-point sort of specialist guy. Do you want that type of guy? Do you want someone more complete? So there are scorers out there, but they're tier 2 scorers that are available. What's the future Tyler?
What's the name of the cat in New Orleans? The
Ingram is not going anywhere.
That's the kind of guy I would like.
Yeah, but they're trying to build. They brought CJ McCollum in, like we talked about last week.
And I like. By the way, I'll take him.
Yeah, but again, they're trying to build their own team. They're not the Miami Heat farm system, Big O. So it's not always that simple. There are always guys out there. A Brandon.
They're going to offer me the fat kid. they're going to offer me the fat kid, and I'd rather have the other two guys.
Yeah, exactly. Zion and said, there's a Brandon Ingram kind of player out there. There's always those kind of players that sort of, not Brandon, but a sort of a second tier type of player. Jordan Clarkson, that's who I meant. A guy like that. A guy who's a 6-man on one team. Maybe Utah redoes it that way. You can get someone like that. But again, you're that one-dimensional scorer like Tyler is that you can't have on the floor at the end of close games because of the defensive thing. D'Angelo Russell, that's another guy. He bounces around. D'Angelo Russell can give you 40 points at any given night. He can also give the opposing guard 40 points on any given night. So what I'm saying is there are tier 2 scorers. So you almost have to make a list. Here are all the tier 2 scorers. Who are you willing to give up Tyler for? That's a much tougher decision than when you're talking about an all-star level talent like a Donovan Mitchell.
Or like the Collins kid in Atlanta. It's something. I don't know, man. Somebody they got to. I think they got to see that they need that. I mean, that's been their MO throughout their entire history. Riley's always had that other guy next to him, and right now he can't feel like he has that guy next to Jimmy. That's the only thing I could think of. All right, what are you working in the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
Well, I just posted an Ask Ira earlier today saying, might Kyle Lowry as a backup point guard be the way to go, at least during the regular season? Save him during the season, have him ready for the playoffs, unlike this year. They did it in a similar range with Goran Dragic for 2 years, and it did pay off in the playoffs. So I know Kyle would never go for that. I'm sure Jimmy wouldn't go for that. But is that something you got to consider? Lightening the load so you wind up with 100% Kyle Lowry during the playoffs instead of someone who's putting in too many minutes. Just threw it out there sort of to float it and just to give people an idea.
There you go. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat and catch him doing this thing here with our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report twice a week. Ira, as always, thank you, my brother. We'll catch up later in the week.
Catch you at 9 o'clock for a full hour of Slomin's home security inside the paint and maybe a Ranger postgame report also. Thank you, Big O.
You got it. There you go. Don't forget the new Integra is in right now at Acura of Pembroke Pines, a 2023. They've got it, and it is a badass vehicle, folks. Check it out. Right now, the 2023 Integra, $369 a month, celebrating their 14th anniversary at, of course, 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75, and Pines, the 2022 TLX technology package, $479 a month. The TLX 2022 Acura, man, you can save thousands right now, $1,000 off loyalty savings. Get on down there, tell them that Big O sent you. They will take care of you, whether you're buying a brand new vehicle, a certified pre-owned vehicle, or whether you're getting it serviced. All right, go see Jordan Ferber, Mike Chan, all the great guys out there getting it done at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines, and that is our Miami Heat report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the